Hey folks, how you doing? Just looking at some of you people who've already checked in, legalized cannabis. How you doing? Uh, I've been noticing you in the comments a whole lot. Oh, and before I get on to anything here, I do want to do a special shout out up at the top of your comments. Scott Dockshow, is that how you pronounce it, Scott? Now he was in before. I don't know if you're in yet. Again, here, Scott. But if you notice, he's got a star on his. Um, Let me turn this down. He's got a star next to his name. Now, take a look at that star. That is the star of an individual who's relatively a new member of this channel. That's the second color change. When you join, you go to a slightly different color, and then it changes this as it goes into more of a green and then a yellow after 6 months. And then it starts becoming like uh, almost an orange red. After a year, second year, it becomes just a blatant red. Third year with the channel, you'll notice that you are the deepest of reds. And we haven't been on long enough for this. And then if you are a member for 4 years, you'll go into royal purple. Okay. So that kind of explains the color scheme here. And I just wanted to let you know, because we haven't been spending much time talking about channel memberships, and mainly because I'm sorry I didn't stream on Sunday to all you kind folks. I saw all your well wishes. I was not feeling good. I haven't felt good for about a week and a half, but I've been able to hammer through. I'm still not 100%, but I've got a good show for you, and I think I'll get through today. Uh, but we haven't talked a whole lot about those and everything. But if you were to click on that join bar that you see there, it gives you a little bit more information. You know, you can see the different badge colors, and there are two tiers. Okay, when you join the initial tier, you become a tribal elder. All right. And when you do that, here's what you're able to do: exclusive member only videos. Now, I'm looking at Kimberly's thing, and it says here over 45 videos on this channel. Oh, we're well over 100 videos that nobody else has access to except for our members, right? Priority reply to comments. Okay. So when I get down to it, I always try to spend about 2 hours responding to you guys on whatever my latest video, whether it's a stream or a regular video. Like I said, I haven't done much of that this week because I've been feeling under the weather. But any of my longtime viewers can tell you that I spend copious amounts of time trying to respond to you. That's part of what this whole thing is about. Now, what is this whole thing? I'm Michael Noland. The name of the bottom line, the name of the channel is called Michael Noland, the bottom line. But when I stream on Sundays and Wednesdays at 5 p.m. PST, that's Pacific Standard Time, the whole channel becomes the tribal forum. And a lot of these folks that you see in the comments are already members. A lot of them aren't members, but they support the channel financially. And those that aren't members or supporting the channel, I guarantee you, they support the channel with their comments. And I'm talking about financially supporting, right? As many of you know, the channel's been going through tough times. I think a lot of channels are on YouTube. I know my good friend Royce, who has already sent us in a super thanks, by the way. Let me get up here to Royce's wonderful super thanks. The man, the myth, the legend, Michael Noland. God, I got to get this guy to write my press, baby. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. The man, the myth, Michael Noland. Yeah, I love it. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it so much. Of course, I support Royce's excellent channel, The Four Horsemen. Now, if you haven't been on the stream for a while, you kind of lost touch with what Royce and I are doing. He's no longer Royce in the House. That was the old channel. Several of you have told me, I'm so glad you brought this up because I wasn't getting notifications for Royce's streams on Sunday. And evidently that was due to part of what happens when you rebrand a channel. And Royce has been having a bit of trouble getting some of his older people over there, mainly because they don't know what to look for. They type in Royce in the House and there's nothing there. So here's what you type in: the Four Horsemen. Okay. The Four Horsemen is Royce's rebrand. Okay. And I'll tell you what the rebrand is about. I've been streaming as a guest, probably in the number two chair over there. I inherited the number two chair from Dan. Dan's back, so as far as I'm concerned, there's no number two chair anymore. He was the original guy up with Royce when I first started streaming as a guest host over on Royce, and I learned a whole lot from them and everything. And we always had a panel discussion. And we are still having a panel discussion. But back in the old days, the panel could get pretty big. Okay. It would not be unusual for sometimes getting up to 8 people. And that becomes crowded, and often you can go off kilter a little bit with those. And Royce wants to focus his channel on a topic. Now, we will always go off kilter anyway. Are you kidding? If I'm part of that discussion, there's a chance we might go off kilter. In other words, take a different tact, but we're all professional enough to realize we got to get back to the main theme here, right? And we've gotten better and better at that. And so what Royce has done is he has curtailed the size of the panel to 4 members, the Four Horsemen, right? Royce is known as the Resurrection, right? And I am known as Warhorse, although I'm thinking War Stallion, the man, the myth, the legend. What do you think, baby?
That's
War
him.
Stallion?
Yeah.
War Stallion? She's
Yeah.
looking at me like, in your
Are
dreams,
you
Nolan.
nuts? Yeah.
I
No.
don't know. If I go by Warhorse, they go, he's
How
just an
about
old
Stud
warhorse.
Muffin?
Stud Muffin's kind of taken.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some Canadian lad took that one.
Oh, no, never mind. No, you're an American Stud Muffin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. Don't worry, Larry. It's only a thought. But no, congrats to Larry. He's going through some personal stuff. Check out his channel. I'm glad to see him doing something that he has deigned to be a positive thing for him in his life. And of course, he has curtailed his use of a certain substance, and I'm not against the use of that substance. As a matter of fact, that substance is probably responsible for a lot of less death and destruction in America than plain old alcohol, folks. And I can tell, I speak from experience in that. My longtime viewers, I bring this up once a month or once every 2 months.
Brenda Snow.
What's that?
I said Brenda Snow is in too.
Oh, Brenda, it's good to see you.
Yeah.
Always. But I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I know what alcohol can do to you if unchecked. And for those of you who can drink and drink responsibility, man, more power to you. Wish I could join you, but I can't. That's a good way for me to wind up dead, almost wound up dead because of it. And because of me, deciding to give that up for Lent, I was able to turn my life around and everything else. So I'm all for anybody who can better their lives in a responsible way, right? And that's fine. That's fine. So congratulations to him. Hope you're doing well, Larry. Let's see who else. But anyway, I was going to say with Royce's channel, we try to keep it down to 4 panel members now. So we have a rotating going in and out. And to tell you the truth, I haven't been able to get up on Royce's. Royce says nothing has changed on his end. Nothing has changed on my end. As a matter of fact, if it was on my end, my image would be sideways right now. But we're trying to work through that. It really has played havoc with me joining the Four Horsemen in the last 2 or 3, 4 weeks now, actually. So we're trying to work that out. But whether I'm there or not, folks, there's always a great discussion. These are great people, just like you folks. All right. If you're a new viewer and you're just wondering what all this is about, and you're looking at all these people chatting amongst themselves here, these are all people who have come to know each other through the tribal forum, through this channel, through Royce's channel, through the divine Caitlin's channel, who I see out there.
Yes.
I was I was over on her stream earlier today, baby. Oh, I was giving her all kinds of shit.
I bet you were.
Yeah, she shut me down.
I don't know how she puts up with you.
She doesn't. She doesn't put up with me. She just shuts me down.
She doesn't.
At one point, she goes, "No, James, don't you dare put up that comment."
The great Miss Caitlin.
Well, you know me, baby. I kind of open mouth, insert foot, and no.
I know it.
Yeah. So does Caitlin, right?
We-
But all these
yeah.
people, we know each other, and most of us have never met physically. Royce is my best bud. All right, he's my best friend these days. All right, not these days, but he is my best friend. But I've had other best friends, and since getting on YouTube, I've had to put my concentration on the channel. So I gravitated to another YouTube content creator. When I first started this channel, before it was even rock and roll, before I had done one rock and roll video, I was a tech oriented channel. And I was just looking at channels, and for some reason, Royce's, he had a travel video on Haight Ashbury, and I saw that. It was in my home feed. I clicked on it, and I liked his whole demeanor and everything. Then I found out, ooh, he also does this streaming on Sundays. And at that point, Royce was the larger channel. All right. I think I might have had, when I first met him, I was still maybe even under 100, well under 100. And he treated me with respect, which is Royce's bent, right? Always one of the nicest guys in the world. Matter of fact, I'm just giving people time to dribble in here. Got a couple of things to talk about tonight. I think you're going to enjoy this. But I always take care of a little tribal business as we're allowing the folks out there to, oh, he's got a stream going. Well, he didn't on Sunday. Well, I'm not going. I'm not going. Like hell, I'm not going. And then finally wind up over here, right? But anyway, so when I first met Royce, he just met me. He treated me uh, just like you'd want to be treated by any stranger on the planet. Now, I was going to say, I noticed another stream the other day that they had a panel on, and they were saying these are the channels to watch in 2026, right? And I was surprised, especially with a couple of members of that panel, that Royce wasn't mentioned. Shame, 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 shame. Especially with those members. It was sad. I'll tell you right now. The channel to watch in 2026 is the Four Horsemen. All right, he's spending the whole latter part of this year reconfiguring his channel. It's still evolving, and I'm more than happy to be a part of that team when I'm able to get up, Royce. So anyway, so I will be streaming on Sunday, hopefully. I'm feeling a little better today. We'll see how things go. If I won't be able to, I'll let you know at a moment's notice, as I always do. However, I am currently planning to stream on Sunday, and then join Royce right after that, and his show starts at 6:30. Okay, so the big supporter of this channel, always has been, and I'm just as big a supporter. I'm a fan of Royce. Okay, all right. So let's see. As far as other channel business goes, channel. Oh my goodness!
Man just came in with
the other guy.
Thank you, Dan.
Hey, Dan, since you're here, I was going to mention your code name, and It leaped out of my head. What's yours? Let's see. I would like to plan a trip to California and meet up with you and Royce, and we all do a live show together. Oh God, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Oh God,
Oh,
just hold them horses, boy. The three of us get together. I don't know if we'd survive that, Dan.
yeah.
You know, but that would be great. Yeah. Just the fact, man, Conquest. That's his code name. So we have Resurrection. And think of us as the horsemen. We've only named our steeds. Conquest, Resurrection, and War Stallion. Warhorse. I don't know. What do you guys think? Vote on it in the comments. Let me know what you think. All right. So the channel has stymied in growth uh, to the point that you guys know what's going on. Uh, we have a lot of unsubscribing on the back end that can only be done by YouTube, and I don't know why. I have no idea why. Well, I've got a little of an idea of why recent subscribers were taken off, but generally speaking, the channels, and we're not a political channel, we're not a religious channel. We try to stay away from conflict and everything there. I do criticize rockers when they don't make any sense, and who knows who they know, that could put some pressure on it. But for whatever reason, channel growth is stymied a bit. And who am I to complain? In less than 4 years, the channel has hit 46,200 subscribers. That's better than the average bear, I'd say. So I'm not I'm not concerned as far as where we have come in 4 years. I am concerned about what I've seen in the last year. And there seems to be some shenanigans going on. And to prove my point, a lot of these people right here in the comments can tell you that they have found themselves unsubscribed, not of their own volition. And they figure it out when they don't get notifications and they find out they've missed 2 of my streams and 3 of my videos. And they go, wait a minute, what's up with Noland? And they come over and then they leave me a note saying, Michael, I was unsubscribed. Or if they weren't unsubscribed, their notifications were turned off. And so we're stuck.
Deuce is wild.
Deuce is in. Oh, man. So good to see you, Deuce. Oh my goodness, look at this. Let's see what he says here. He says, glad you're feeling better, Michael. Yeah, I know. So many of you were concerned. And truly, Deuce, I was feeling so under the weather. For me to even respond, was too much. Too much. Maybe I've worked myself into a tizzy. Who knows? I did stream 3 times last week, which was more than I've ever streamed, and I did it in 5 days. So maybe that's what did it. The Monday was to make up for Sunday, all right? And then the Friday was I just had to open my mouth about something. And that I rarely do streams like that. So very few of you were notified of that stream. Now it's interesting. The Wednesday stream before that, we only got like 650, maybe slightly over views on that. Now for my streams, that's not a whole lot of views. But I had tagged that thing up and everything else, made it nice and pretty, just tied it in a bow, presented it to you, and just didn't get a lot of views. And then the one that I didn't tag, the one that I didn't promote, I just kind of got up there. And I think we're at about 1,500 views, which is better than my usual average. I think my average, you could say, is about 1,200. We get occasional streams that are viewed by 6,000, 4,000, 2,500, right? So I was glad to see that kind of growth. But do check to see if you're still subscribed, and do check to see if your notifications are on. That can only help the tribe. And I do want to say also, feel free to share my videos, right? And there's this new thing. I put a tag on my latest video. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and I haven't even read all of Deuce here.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rock and Robin. I'll be right with you, darling. Let me get down to Deuce here. Glad you're feeling better, Michael. Missed you and your lovely chiefess, Kimberly. Yeah, yeah. We we are bound by our love and passion for the immortal music. Yeah, this immortal music. Yeah, it's the color of this. It's a little harder to pick up the print. This will be a great stream. 12 albums isn't enough for me. I command you. Right. And there is a criteria to my list tonight. All right. And, but I want to hear, you guys have already been putting in great lists. Doc Insomnia had a great list early on in the comments, right? And I do want to let you know when I'm going over the 12 that I'm going to cover, this is just my list personally. I'll give you the reason why I chose each album. I'll tell you what I think the highlights are of them, and I'm even going to supply you guys with three honorable mentions, right? And when I look at these honorable mentions, I'm going, good Lord, I, to go to the island without these three records wouldn't be right, you know? But I did, one of the criteria was one album for every month that you could listen to for the rest of your life on a desert island. One album every month. So I kept it to 12 albums that you could take with you, right? But I'm going to give you three bonus discs, and there's got to be 30 out in my front room right now that are going, what about me? Right? So we'll talk about that in just a second. Um, I do want to get over and give, oh, I didn't get to Robin's comment here. She says, good to see you back, Michael and Kimberly. Always good to see you, Rockin'. And I hope that you're feeling better. She had an injury to her shoulder, wasn't it, Robin? I believe. Oh, and if Tim is out there, did you see Tim from Music Life out there?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Well, blessings to Tim. Tim's going through a tough time. He's got to go back into the hospital, but he's been going through some depression, you know.
Oh.
So support him over that. He's coming out of it, I think. You know, if I had to go through what Tim's been going through, depression would be one of the least things happening to me. You know, that's all I can say. So that's another thing to all you viewers out there that haven't seen this before. We do care for each other here, right? We wish good things. And guess what? Some of us are Democrats. Some of us are alt right, alt left. Some of us are Republicans. Some of us don't belong to any political affiliation at all, don't vote, don't do anything. Some of us are Christian. Some of us are Muslim. Some of us are not religious at all. Some of us don't even believe in God. So, how in the hell could such a group get along? We leave that shit at the door, folks. That's how we get along. All right. And I've said this before, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I know for each and every one of you, you got a brain, right? And you know the decisions you've made fit best into your life, what your needs are, what your expectations are of the world. And you have done a lot of thought on why you believe what you believe. All right. Philosophically, religiously, non religiously, politically, the whole spectrum. All right. And so have I. But we leave that shit at the door, right? That's for another kind of forum, not this one. Here, we now don't get me wrong. It's not like we don't argue here. And as a matter of fact, me picking 12 albums to take to a desert island, I fully expect many of you to go, you don't know what the freak you're talking about, Michael. And that's fine. I want to hear your ideas. Now, Kimberly, if you see any lists coming up, would you take a screenshot of that for me tonight, darling?
Absolutely.
That voice you hear, that absolutely that divine voice, is my lovely wife, Kimberly, who is the producer of the Tribal Forum. All right. I'm merely the talking head. She's the producer. She's my tether. This is why I can go on talking to you, keeping my mind focused on the subject at hand, and yet you're hearing from my feminine side, right? She is the love of my life. She's the other half of me. And so you're getting part of me when she responds to you in the comments. And sometimes I even have the time to get on over there and answer those comments as well. All right, so I got rocking. Everybody's there. I do want to do shout outs. The list isn't too long. It's about, well, it's not too long. But this is what these are the people who gave shout outs or super thanks on my last two uh, um, streams. I always do this, but I always do it for the last stream. But since Friday night stream was an emergency stream, right? I told you all that I would be pulling from the last two streams to get all caught up. And these folks are in my latest video. At the end of the video, you get a scrolling super thanks as well, because I truly do appreciate all of those who financially support this channel. It is unfortunately a necessity at this point in time for the channel, and I appreciate all of you. I really do. Rockin' Robin Bird, who's already given tonight, gave us a $2 super thanks. Irga Splittin' Loudon Boomer, aka Gear Jam, gave us a $2 super thanks. We call that swinging the deuce hammer. One of the tribe came up with that term, you know, and that's because that's that's the basic entry kind of thing that you can do. A lot of people, somebody will give us a 20. We've gotten $50, $100 super thanks from time to time. Most people can't go that far, but they like to support the channel. But it's like my $2 wouldn't count. Believe me, look right here with these first three, we've got $6. Rockin' Robin Bird, Irga Splittin' Loudon Boomer, and Rockin' Robin Bird in again with another $2 super thanks. Michael Boswell followed that up with another Juice Hammer, $2. And so we're up to 8. And Joseph Bloom came in with a $5 super thanks.
Oh, Michael Boswell just came in with.
And were your ears burning, Michael? I just gave you a shout out. I'll be right with you, brother. Don't let me forget him, baby.
No.
Then again, somebody who's already been in tonight, Just the Facts Man with a $10 super thanks. Ben Scheidegger with a $5 super thanks. Hi, Ben. How you doing? Michael Boswell, who I've got to get over and see his latest one. He was in with another $2 super thanks. Deuce is Wild, been in today already. $2 super thanks. Irga Splittin' Loudon Boomer, $2 super thanks. Michael Boswell, $5 super thanks. Rockin' Robin Bird for a third time in between for a $2 super thanks. And Irga Splittin' Loudon Boomer again in with a $2 super thanks. And then Deuces Wild set the world on fire with a $20 super thanks. Thank you so much, folks. I appreciate it. All right. So, and don't worry, if I've spent a little time getting to this point, I'm not going to shut down any earlier than I already expected to. You're going to get the full show for sure. Now, before we get on to the 12 albums, I did have something that I did want to bring up. This is an article from UCR. I mentioned this slightly over at Caitlin's show, Caitlin's Magical Corner, right? I spend all my extra time over there a couple of times a week. You'll catch me in the comments. Rockin' Robin Bird's over there a lot. A lot of you guys are showing up over there. And this is a new article on Alice Cooper, right? And it's entitled Alice Cooper Plotting New Solo and Alice Cooper Group Albums. All right. Now, I just brought it up real quick over there, and Caitlin got excited. This is one of the things that Caitlin and I share is a love for Alice Cooper. All right. As a matter of fact, she showed hers. She has it on CD. I have this on LP. This is one of the special editions. I really love this album. It's great. Is it the Alice Cooper original band's very best album? No. Is it their worst album? No. It's somewhere in the middle, and I would say slightly at the top of the middle section if I were to rank it. It is great, but I haven't heard it enough. And some albums grow on me, and then I get more distance. And I have been covering other albums and music right after this came. Okay, but excellent album by the original Alice Cooper band. Now, unless they can find another segment of Glenn Buxton recorded guitar, the next album that they're thinking of probably won't have the entire 5-member cast of the original Alice Cooper band, but all of the living at least. Now, the article says back in July, the shock rocker reunited with his bandmates in the original Alice Cooper group for The Revenge of Alice Cooper. The first full album, Cooper, Michael Bruce, Dennis Dunaway, and Neil Smith, and via technology, the late Glenn Buxton, have made together since Muscle of Love way back in 1973. My God, I was still living at home in and out. I'd be down in Southern California opening up an office, come back up to the Santa Rosa area and live with my mom a week or two, and then I'm off on the road. At that point, I was more out than I was in at my mom's house. But this is still, I was 18, so this was a big album for me. I remember at the time I was a little bit disappointed in it compared to some of the more classic offerings, but there are cuts on that album that are absolutely as good as anything that Alice Cooper has done. This album here, The Revenge of Alice Cooper, I can guarantee you.
Just the
at-
facts, man.
I see that, baby. I'll be right there. Hi, Dan.
Thank you so much.
And I got to get over there because before I get deep into this. But this album, The Revenge of Alice Cooper, will give Muscle of Love a tussle for its money. Although I think Muscle of Love might just, I don't know, barely net. I'm still making up my mind. Maybe you guys can give me your opinions on all of that. Let me see. Michael Boswell, hail rock and roll. Peace, everyone, he says, and he swings the deuce hammer. Thank you, Michael, so much. Let me give you a thumbs up there. And folks, give these guys a thumbs up. I mean, they're going the extra distance. My goodness, here, there it goes. And then Dan is in with another $10 super thanks, hitting you up with another super chat to support the channel and the tribe. You and Kimberly rock. Long live the tribe and long live just the facts man, right? See what that's the name of his channel. And if there is another channel that I'm connected to, it's Dan's channel. All right. I told you I'm connected to Royce. Dan is one of the four horsemen. Like I said, Dan had second seat over at Royce for years, and I kind of inherited it because Dan had to do a bow out due to personal things happening in his life. And so I kind of kept the seat warm. And now we're just all, I think all three of us are just kind of co equals, if you ask me, on the show. Dan is, was there way before me, and I learned a whole lot while I was over there. And I certainly appreciate your support, Dan. Now, this whole thing on Alice Cooper, they were talking about, don't you do that. This iPad, baby, I'm telling you,
I know.
it's got it in for me.
It's haunted.
I think it's possessed. Let's see. Since 1973's Muscle of Love, although there have been collaborations on his solo albums, there'd be one or two tracks where the old band got together or members of the band got together and all of that, right? But this is the first dedicated album written and produced by the Alice Cooper Band with the help of Bob Ezrin, right? He says The Revenge charted around the world, including the top 20 on Billboard's independent albums and top rock and alternative album charts, and was greeted with rave reviews. Now, boy, the top 20 of Billboard's independent albums, and then also on top rock and alternative albums.
Just came in with the super thing.
I'll check them out here.
Hey, Deuce, you're wonderful.
Deuce is
wonderful.
Throwing them out today, huh? Says swinging the hammer, the power of two. Amen, brother. Amen. That's all I can say to that. All right. So, iPad, I'm going.
I know.
Now, see, if I switch over, that's what happens. Maybe I should just use the phone, see if I can go between these. So, this whole idea of these lists, this isn't like back in the day. Where it was basically Billboard's top 200. Yeah, they're not on that. Evidently, they're on the top 20 of independent albums and the top 20 of the top rock and alternative album charts. But that's good news. That's definitely good news, especially for a classic rock outfit like the Alice Cooper Band, because they're not going to get probably on the Billboard chart. I just did a stream where we were talking about.
Oh, hun, the Four Horsemen just came.
Oh my
in with
goodness!
Another.
Oh, thank you so much, Royce. I appreciate that.
I mean, Royce.
That was Royce, yeah.
Royce, you naughty boy.
He swung 5 deuce hammers, baby.
Oh.
Thank you, Royce. I appreciate it. He didn't say anything, just tossing it out, folks.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so that's pretty good. Like I said in my last or one of my latest streams, we talked about what classic rock albums are in the top 200, and all but 3 of them. There was 18 of them, so 15 out of 18 of those albums were all compilation and or greatest hits or the very best of, or yeah, the very best of kind of albums, right? And we talked about how they have a longer germination, or I guess a longer lifespan because more hits, more casual people will be buying that. That's a great gift for the casual listener. Doesn't know if hubby wants a particular album for Christmas, but I do know he likes Alice Cooper. Let's just get his greatest hits or something like that. All right, so here's what Alice says about the future. He says, I think we'll probably do another album. He tells UCR in the midst of his current Too Close for Comfort tour, a tour that him and Judas Priest are having trouble selling tickets for, a tour that I've criticized that should be showcasing the original Alice Cooper band in support of this album. And I think that would, if he would just support the original band, tour with the original band, or at least give them 50% of the set, his ticket selling troubles would go right away. I think it's a big mistake not to support them and to have them doing it if they are physically capable and willing, and evidently, from what I've read, they are. Okay, with the exception of Glenn Buxton, who sadly passed away. What was that, 98? This is in the late 90s. He says, I can't see why we wouldn't. This one did so well, we might do, well, another one. I talked to producer Bob Edson the other night, and he said, what do you think about doing another album? So Bob was thinking about it all along. He says, it's great with me. We haven't talked to the guys about it yet. I don't buy that. I don't know. Maybe there's somebody going, I don't know. I don't know if we should. And they're still trying to talk, because I would imagine that before he'd do an interview, he'd at least pass that through. Or maybe this is his way of putting the thumb screws to the rest of the original band. I don't know. So anyway, he goes on. He says, so it's certainly not a done deal, but I'd be willing to do it for sure. All right. So that was in answer to Caitlin's question today on her stream when I brought that up. That is something that we might be able to look forward to from Alice Cooper. Like I said, I love that album, right? I think it's top notch. Is it a masterpiece? I'm not willing to put it on masterpiece level yet. I'm not sure I would Muscle of Love.
Oh my
They're
goodness.
Great albums.
Agent
right?
Pepsi just came in.
Agent, where have you been? I've seen you. Okay.
Agent Pepsi.
Well, has she been in for the whole duration, babe? I haven't been able.
She just got in a little while ago.
Okay.
I'm so glad she came.
Greatest hits compilations sound often off. I agree. And part of it, well, let's see if you bring it up. Since the mixing of the tracks is different, yes. For me, one of my must-haves, golden earrings cut. Ooh. Okay, another excellent example, suggestion, right? Okay, so that gets me to, so how did I put this list together? Well, I have a list of 5 criteria. And the first one, you guys don't have to follow this. If you want to just get universal and just put out your, and especially if you're watching this later and you want to put your list in the comments, and you want to do that, just any album you can magically poof in front of you, what 12 would you bring? That's fine too. But my first criteria for this is, number one, it would have, first of all, I want to take vinyl. All right, because on our desert island, the professor, he may not be able to build a boat, but he can put together one of the best stereo systems on the planet. And Kimberly and I will be fed mango and coconut cream pies for the rest of our lives as
Hey,
we
honey.
fade into the sunset, baby. Yeah.
Tim Henry of Music Life checked in. He said, "Good evening, everyone. I just got back to my room. I just want to thank all of you for your prayers. I just started preventive treatment 10 days ago. Well, my report is no more cancer. They got it. They got it all. Amen.
Awesome.
Amen, Tim
Such
Henry.
great news. I thought there was some daylight at the end of your tunnel there, Tim. But from what I've caught shards, so I didn't want to overstep when I was talking about you before. It was all good if you weren't here at the beginning, and we're so happy that things are. I said, it was a little depressing for you to go through that. Of course, it would be.
Joseph Blue reminded me to tell you about that.
Oh, thank you, Joseph. I appreciate it. See, these people care for each other.
Thank you, Joseph Blue.
Appreciate it, Joseph. Absolutely. All right. So my first criteria is I want it on LP, and it has to come from the collection I currently have. Now, all of you know I have a very small collection. It's not like I have a collection of 1,000 or 2,000 albums. I've got a collection of 140 with the 141st album coming along, and that's going to fit into my list tonight. So my first criteria, it has to be an album that I own. Second one, only one artist, album per artist. All right. Now I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. The Beatles are on this list tonight. All right. But in my mind, that there's just too much rock and roll out there to go ahead and include a Paul McCartney or a John Lennon or a George Harrison album for my recommendations. I wanted a wider palette. I wanted albums coming from from all parts of rock, or at least the parts of rock I know about, right? So only one album per artist. There'll be no after. I could have chose a Paul McCartney album. That would have meant no Beatles album. Of course, I'm going to choose a Beatles album. And you guys all know which are my three favorite Beatles albums, and not any one of them are on the list tonight. And there's a reason for that. The third criteria was no double albums. Well, there's one reason why my third choice with the Beatles is not on this list, the White Album, right? So no double albums, because whenever you do these Desert Island disc or kind of episodes, I've done a couple of them over the years. You always inadvertently get somebody who'll go, well, okay, I'll take the Beatles' White Album, and then I'll take Physical Graffiti from Led Zeppelin, right?
Just came in with a super.
45 is so good to see you, brother. I'll send you a list, but after the 8 Led Zeppelin studio albums, I don't know if I can pick just 4 more. Kidding. Look forward to doing the list. Yeah, because it would be so easy just to pick, split it in 3 for my 3 favorite bands and take the 3 albums from them. But I wanted to give it a wider palette to the choice, okay? And no live albums. All right. And often live albums are double albums anyway, but no live albums on this, and no compilation albums, no best of, no chronicles from Creedence Clearwater Revival. All right. There's not going to be any of those. All right. So first of all, I'm going to give you a list of honorable mentions. These are the ones that made me almost want to make this a list of 15. And I thought, no, I'm going to stick to the original idea. But these are the ones I sorely missed to let go. All right. The first of the honorable mentions is, and I'm sorry for the backwards image. This is going to suck tonight with me showing you albums. The stream is still streaming backwards. We're going to take care of that any day now. But this is Crosby, Stills, and Nash first album, right? Now, this doesn't mean I wouldn't choose Deja Vu. I don't have Deja Vu yet, okay? But chances are I would pick this album, even though a lot of people will say, well, that album, isn't exactly known for having the best mixes and everything. Every time I listen to it, I just hear magic, folks. So that would give me some acoustic rock melody, right? Harmony and all of that. And then, of course, this one was a tough one to pass up. Days of Future Past. All right. I love this album by the Moody Blues. The Moody Blues, to me, folks, kind of is the progenitors in a way of prog rock, right? They were always a little more top 40 and some of their cuts than a lot of prog bands, but that doesn't take the prog out of their music. And I love this because you're talking about a 24-hour day, a cycle. And you can look at this album that all the songs represent portions in your life, not just happenings within a week. I love this, love the album cover. Days of Yore, fine for sure. And then finally, this was hard because, I want some hard rock, right? To go on this list as well. I've got some Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I got some progressive. Why not have ACDC's Back in Black? It missed it by that much. And by the way, this is the one I will take if the record that I've ordered doesn't arrive in time for my trip to the island. This would be number 12 right there. But we'll talk about my 12th choice in a minute. Okay, so that gets us down to the top 12 albums that I would take on a desert island with me. First of all, again, I wanted to kind of have a wide palette. I wanted to represent my many moods, whatever it is I'm doing on that island for the rest of my life. I don't want to be stuck with all Black Sabbath, all Led Zeppelin, and no nice pop rock or anything. So there's going to be a collection of uh, just look for that in my list here. Okay, number one. Now I chose this one first. If you notice on my thumbnail, it's the first one in the back row, right? Now, Royce, shame on you. He goes, oh no, I just know what he's going to talk about. Now, Royce featured this album on his last stream, and for the first time in his life, he noticed that there were urine stains on that wall. And I went, you gotta be kidding me. That was the first thing I noticed when I bought this album, brother. That was the first. Oh, and then he says, oh, but there's only 3 stains. Royce, you got to look real close here in front of Pete's leg, and you'll see the 4th stain. His body's just covering it up. All right. But what a fantastic album. This is one of those albums I consider a perfect album. Matter of fact, we're going to have several albums that I consider perfect. This is by far my favorite Who album. All right. And I love a lot of them, but somehow they captured the lightning on this. And, when I went to go see them live, they were touring Quadrophenia, another wonderful album, but I just can't imagine living the rest of my life on that deserted island without having access to these cuts. And what's great, there's a lot of deep cuts on this album that didn't get a lot of radio play that are just as good as the others. All right, so that leads me to Desert Island album number 2. This is a gift from Royce, so I was able to pick this. This is my favorite Yes album of all time. There's only 3 cuts on this album. Side 1 has the cut Close to the Edge, right? Then you have And You and I and Siberian Tantrum on side 2, right? Not short songs either, but all of side 1 is Close to the Edge. This is perfection, progressive rock incarnate to me, folks. I love this album. This is one of those albums you sit down and you listen to the whole thing. So is the Who's Next album and a couple others we're going to talk about tonight. All right, and this is another one of them. Number 3, Desert Island album number 3, Pink Floyd, my 3rd favorite band, Dark Side of the Moon. I've not listened to this a whole lot this year because I've been listening to Pink Floyd at Pompeii. I've got that album, the live album, and of course I couldn't choose that, but I wouldn't have. As much as I love that album, this is Pink Floyd at their very best. And in the past, Roger Waters says I wrote that album. He's wrong. The whole group wrote the album. He wrote all the lyrics, but there was co-writing galore going on this album, and he's maligned the album, the other members of the band, I think, too much. But man, you can't get better Floyd than The Dark Side of the Moon, as far as I'm concerned. All right, that leads me. I've got to have something different now. Now we've got some progressive, right? We've got, got to shake it up. I want a little Latino beat to turn to on the island. And this is my favorite, second favorite Santana album. I actually would have picked Caravanserai. Everybody goes, "You're kidding me." Yeah, that's an experiment in its own thing, but I'm kind of glad I don't have it because I do. That's my favorite Santana album. But this is number two. Brax is number three, I would say. But I'm going to first of all, got to have some cool artwork to take to the island, and that is as cool as it gets, right? And on top of that, man, the groove on this album. I mean, all the songs that you've got on this, you got to have some Santana, right?
Oh,
Now you can see I'm salting it with different flavors. What's that, babe?
said love Santana.
She loves Santana. Yeah, that's one of the artists that we both are a big fan of equally. All right, so where are we at now? What was that? Number four? One, two, three, four. Let's see. I can find out. No, I can't find out there. Whatever number this is, I need some more prog. Only this is prog from the wood. Okay. Another excellent group that uses the power of when they're writing the pop song within their songs. I've talked about this album. My longtime members aren't surprised. This is on my list. This album, side one, talks about the main character, that it's all about Aqualung. Side two delves into Aqualung's childhood, right? And we see how he becomes the decrepit creature that side one reveals. Absolute great study in humanity, right? And an album way back then talking about the homeless, okay? Ahead of its time, totally. Next up, Black Sabbath got to have some heavy ass rock and roll. And as some my viewers have known, it didn't get a lot of views when I talked about this album on a dedicated video. But I think this is Black Sabbath's um, Abbey Road. Let's call it that. Abbey Road is usually considered the Beatles' best and most well produced. Whether Abbey Road is your favorite or not, many will at least say that, and many just say it's their favorite. To me, this has all of everything that Black Sabbath offered on their first two albums, only now they're sounding a little more studio proficient and everything, and more powerful, more succinct. And a lot of the material on this album has been greatly maligned. A lot of people say this is a band, a satanic band, and all of that. You'd be wrong. And I encourage you to watch my last video when I covered uh, uh, Master of Reality, okay? Because it's not the album many people think it is. Okay, so that gets us down to the next choice. And long time viewers will know that this is no surprise, by Roxy Music Avalon. Now, I've said it before. When I first got this album, I took it over to my brothers. What's that, baby?
I said I love Roxy Music.
Yeah, she loves this album too. Yeah. I took this album over to my brothers. I go, this is like a band if Mars had a civilization and they invented their version of rock. It sounded alien to me and yet familiar at the same time. Lots of pop sensibilities into the album, but a completely a progressive band, right? And I just love it. I love the album cover. I love the flow. This is a late night album for me, right? This is when you turn the lights down, imbibe of whatever it is that you partake of, and let the music go through your soul. Avalon by Roxy Music. All right, that leads us to I need some pop. All right, I haven't had a lot of pop here, so I need a good pop rock band. Now there's tons. I could have chosen Badfinger. I could have chosen that. But man, to choose them and not choose Fleetwood Mac and the Rumors album is not quite there. I almost wanted to choose the Fleetwood Mac album that came out just prior to this one. The reason I didn't was I just got to be honest. And plus, The Chain is my favorite Fleetwood Mac song of all time. They're all involved in the writing of that, and that's them at their very best. That's the high point. But the album is just fantastic. All members giving their very best, sounding their very best, and for those times where I just want to hear some great songs, you got to have some Fleetwood Mac in there. Now, that leads me to my next choice. And again, I am going to be relying on some pop. But this is symphony pop. You go, wait a minute, Michael, you only rank that as your fourth favorite Beatle album. What are you doing? Yep. But when I think about what I've got to live with for the rest of my life, right? What uh, I have two favorite albums. The White Album's number three. This is, I think, number four is how I ranked it. Number two would be Revolver, although I've been thinking of flipping these other ones. And Rubber Soul is my favorite. But the problem with Rubber Soul or Revolver for my only Beatle album is one has a little too much John, the other has a little too much Paul, not enough John. One of them doesn't quite have what George offers on this album. Okay. And what they did on side two, it's a symphony. It's a suite. It's an entire classical music production with words. All right. And so if you're going to have an album that will time and time again, no matter the mood, entertain you, I had to go with Abbey Road. First time Abbey Road in any of my videos has outplayed other Beatle albums. Okay, so I've got some pop. I've got a little bit of heavy music. I need some more heavy music, right? And of course, Deep Purple. I almost wanted to choose Burn. I love Burn. I love Burn. But and there's a couple of songs on there I like better than a couple of songs on here. But you cannot deny the magic in this album, especially the interplay between Richie Blackmore and John Lord, between their jams on these tracks not too long but not too short, lots of time to groove into each track, and it is high powered. This to me is Deep Purple at their best, barely at their best, because there's several albums I would pick by Deep Purple that come damn close to that. That leads us to my second favorite. Now, we've covered Pink Floyd, we've covered the Beatles. How about Led Zeppelin? All right, this one's a tough one. All right, I wanted to pick, I was going to pick, I almost picked, I swear to God, I was almost going to pick Led Zeppelin 4. But the more and more I get into this album, I'm sorry, and I am going to announce tonight, because I've always put 4 slightly above this album in my rankings. This is Led Zeppelin's finest produced album. They cover more ground. They do it in such a way. And I know some of you go, well, the crunge is on that album. I love the crunge. Anybody doesn't know, doesn't love the crunge, listen again. Take 2 aspirin, call me in the morning. It's a great cut. All right. I love this album. Royce was talking about this album. He says he kind of dug side 2 more than side 1. If I had to choose one, I'd take side 1, mainly because of Over the Hills Far Away and the Rain song alone and how they blend together. The crunge's craziness. I would probably take that, but that takes nothing from side 2. The Dogs of Doom are howling low. You got to have those tracks in it, right? So, and the production, the artwork, everything on this album is absolutely fabulous. And so from now on, I'm sorry, I've just got to go with, Houses of the Holy. I've been threatening to do that for a couple of years, haven't I, folks? As a matter of fact, I even did a video where I got to choose this as the number one album, but it was based on criteria that took four off. Now, what do I think of four? God, I wish I could pick four. That's all I could say. But then I'm going to go, I'll have four and I'll have all those wonderful. I can just hear those cuts now in my mind, but I won't have Over the Hill and Far Away. I won't have the Rain Song. I won't have those magnificent, the ocean. You got to have those cuts. And so it's with hesitation, but damn, it's almost a tie with me between these two albums. But I know this isn't the favorite of a lot of Zeppelin fans. All right. So those are the 13 albums that I would choose. You go, Michael, you only went over 12. Yeah, okay. You caught me. Yeah, there's another one I've got on order. And let me see here if I can find it. I got to show you out on my iPad because I don't have the album cover. And like I said, if this doesn't arrive in time, I'll just put Back in Black on that 13 album list because I doubt if many of you would have chosen this album that I think is one of absolutely essential for me to have. Now, real longtime viewers will know I love this album. I've mentioned it on Royce before, and I finally got a record seller had one left, and it's coming from England, so that's why I haven't gotten it. It's been ordered for a while now. But Jojo Gunn by Jojo Gunn. Look at that album cover. Now, there's a story behind this album and why I would choose it. First of all, dig this, what they say about this album. This is from Apple Music. It was a blurb, and I go, yeah, I'd like to read this. It says the LA rock band Jojo Gunn formed after singer, guitarist, and keyboardist Jay Ferguson, future solo star of Thunder Island fame. He had a big hit with that, didn't he? And bassist Mark Andes, later of Firefall and Heart, had split from the much lauded band Spirit. And we've talked a lot about Spirit and its connection with Led Zeppelin on the channel and everything, right? Who had just released the trailblazing 12 Dreams of Dr. Sardonicus. All right, so that was a bold move of them to leave and create their own group. And so it said, so yes, this 1972 debut is littered with the era's FM radio signposts. And that's a fair thing. And that's why I'm choosing this. I want an album that kind of represents a whole lot of the sounds I was hearing. It's not a compilation album. All of these were written just for this album, right? But each song sounds like a different group you'd hear on on the FM and AM stations back when I was. And I just love these songs, right? There's the Little Feat style boogie of Babylon, 99 Days, Academy Award. Oh, I love that song. Shirts off beer drinking anthems like I Make Love, Flying Home, or bar style blues, a motor speedway rock ballad called Flying Home, and the same kind of melodious stoner angst that made Spirit songs great. Shake That Fat and Run, Run, Run. Run, Run, Run was a bit of a hit for them. I don't know how high it got on the charts, but I definitely remember it being on KFRC and being played. So they say it's a top 40 hit, right? So probably up to number 30, 20 something, maybe. But that makes this album. But what makes this album is the spare, every note carries weight arrangements of guitar, bass, and drums. And that's the thing. If you guys listen to this album that I wanted to bring out, sometimes there's entire holes in the overall production because nothing was written for anything else. And no producer got in there and said, let's fill that gap. And so you hear how they put these pieces together. You swear you're in the same room with this band and they're playing it live in front of you. So that would be my 13th album that I would choose. Okay. All right, folks. Let's get on over here and see what you guys have to say. What's going on here tonight? Let's. I'm going to go up a little ways and work down. How does that sound? Legalize cannabis. Derek and the Dominoes, Layla and other assorted love songs. I would have, but it's a double album. That's another album I have. Thanks to Royce, he sent that to me as a gift. One of my favorite albums of all time, but it didn't fit my criteria. Cannabis. So sorry. Let's see. Grand Funk is awesome, says Royce. All right, so he's saying maybe a Grand Funk album would be in on his list. At least you got an album that mentions Zappa. Doc, I saw your comments about Zappa earlier and stuff. You know, I love Zappa. I mean, I appreciate his genius and everything, but I never bought a Zappa album. A lot of friends of mine had them. I enjoyed them when I was over there, turning me on. Billy was a mountain, Loretta was a tree growing inside. You know, I kind of got all that stuff and I loved it, but not enough to just bring it in. Um, I, there's not a lot of jazz to my collection. The jazziest I kind of get is Return to Forever, maybe Steely Dan. You know, not a great jazz aficionado. I'm more of a blues aficionado and how it turned in to classic rock. But thank you for that. Uh, Dirk and the Dominoes. Yes, Led Zeppelin original stuff. Are you there? Says that. Right. Anything Led Zeppelin, Deuces Wild says. Love Houses of the Holy, says Rockin' Robin. Yeah, me too. I'm surprised more people don't rate it higher than they do. There's two albums I don't get why people rank slightly higher than they deserve to be. One is Houses of the Holy, and the other is Presence. Now, I understand Presence better than I understand Houses of the Holy, and I wouldn't rank Presence up in the top 3 or 4, but it's got a good shot at hitting number 5. I think it's a wonderful album myself. Jay Cliban, is it Cliban or Cliban?
I think.
Cliban, you think?
Cleban.
Cliban? Cliban.
Jay Cleban, yeah.
Cliban.
He's amazing.
Yeah. He says, I really dug your analysis of no quarter, Royce. Good stuff. Yeah, he did a great job on there. By the way, I've got a older video. You have to go into my Led Zeppelin playlist where I do a whole thing on that song. Actually, the whole album. It's the my video where I cover that entire album early on in the history of the channel. I've always loved that song, No Quarter. Oh my God, the history of it, how it was put together, who co-wrote it, what it means. You know, everybody talks. It sounds like a war party on the go, on the prowl, and it's not. It really isn't. They're willing to do battle. This group, but if you remember, it's the message that must get through that really counts. They will battle to get that message through, or they will ignore a battle, go around because the message, whatever that is, right, wherever it's going, is so important that it's better to get the message there than to be the warriors they're trained to be. But if they're called upon, that's exactly what you're going to get. Steel, right? I love that. Great bring up because Royce's analysis is fantastic. It really is. Joseph Blue, I don't think I could live without Stairway. Yeah. I can tell you a few record shops who could. All right, all right. Wayne's World reference there. But yeah, and you know what? Stairway isn't even my favorite song on that album, but it is one of my favorite. It's in my top 10 Led Zeppelin songs of all time, right? So, I mean, it's there. And yeah, you're going to lose a lot. A lot of people will say that's rock's perfect record by a out and out rock band covering all of the bases
Hey,
all in one song.
Eric Splitting says you gotta have some Beach Boys.
Beach Boys, yeah, and the only Beach Boys I have, so they weren't in contention,
Right.
is a double compilation album.
Yeah.
So I couldn't choose the Beach Boys. I have a lot of respect for the Beach Boys, especially Brian Wilson. I'm not a Mike Love fan, but Mike Love back in the day when he could keep his mouth shut and everything, he was fine. I was a Mike Love fan. It's just when he started claiming to write everything known to man and take credit for things that I know he damn well didn't have. I've started to see him as a bit of a have mouth will travel kind of guy, and I, you know, it gets to the point where the two of them didn't care for each other enough there at the end. You kind of would choose sides, and the fact that I'm a Brian Wilson fan on so many levels, not just with the Beach Boys, but as a songwriter for the Beach Boys, and as a producer. He's one of my favorite producers in rock. Phil Spector. You've got George Martin and Brian Wilson would be way up there as far as producers go. And I think they're fantastic. So if anybody was to, but which one would you choose? Yeah, for me, it would probably be one of the early albums, to tell you the truth. I was a bigger fan of them. That doesn't mean I don't like, and all of that. But I really do. See, I owned Beach Boy records before I owned Beatle records. So I was a fan right from the beginning. But then you got to ask, what one album that's not a compilation would you take on an island with you? Because you're going to miss a whole ton of stuff, no matter what album you choose, right? Brian Bingham says, here's 5 more albums to consider. Crickleward Green by 10 Years After, all great album. It Ain't Easy by Three Dog Night. Wishbone Ash's debut album. Oh, yeah, good one there. Thirds by James Gang, and It Ain't Easy by John Baldry. Oh, nice. Now, which Three Dog Night album had Mama Told Me Not to Come? I bought that one. I love that album. I played that one into the dust, man. But I'm trying to remember the title of it. But it was the one, my mom would hear me hearing it, and she goes, "You ought to listen to his mother," you know because I didn't behave too much there for a while as a teenager. Holistic Healing Waves writes, I'm in the mood for jazz. I go for more like that Latin jazz stuff as done by Lalo Schifrin. Oh, yeah. Such as the main title, Bullet, Enter the Dragon, Mission Impossible. What
Yeah.
was it I said? I did who was it talking on Caitlin's? And oh, they were talking about. Oh, Caitlin's going to be mad at me. I'm talking out of Caitlin's corner school. Um, yeah, they're all excited because Rusty Axel Rose, as I like to call him, uh, is getting involved in making a comic book. A comic book. You all know what a big fan I am of Axel Rose, right? He's in the comic book. And so I wrote to Caitlin in the article. I think that's the one where she said, don't put it up, James. She wouldn't allow it. I wrote back and I said, yeah, Rusty Axel Rose in a comic book. It kind of reminds me of the movie Enter the Dragon, where Jim Kelly says, man, you come right out of a comic book. Axl Rose. I'm not a fan, and if you guys are, fine. I know a lot of you are. Caitlin's a fan. I think Royce is a fan of him. I don't like him. I don't like him at all. I don't care for his presentation. I don't care for his voice. Everybody back in the day would go, he has a 2.5 octave voice, and as if that like it was a Wikipedia knowledge base. So thou shalt consider him one of the greatest singers in rock and roll, right? And I just hear a guy that's all over the tonal knob. I is all I hear with him, and him wrecking, knocking on heaven's door and live and let die. To me, it was a farce, right? And only shows you how great McCartney was and George Martin, who produced Live and Let Die. He kind of came out of the woodwork to produce that single with Paul. And I just thought it did a major disservice. Igor Splitton, Loudon Boomer says, Houses of the Holy is so great that Led Zeppelin left the title track off of the new album and included it with Physical Graffiti. Yeah, no shit. Isn't that true? And you know what? I've said it in the past. I'm glad they did, because the way see, this is one of those perfect albums, Gear Jam, to me. And I love Houses of the Holy, the song, but it fits better somehow to my ears on Physical Graffiti. And I think it's a little jarring. Now, they said they didn't choose it because it was too close to another track. I'm trying to remember which one it was. And whatever track it was, I went, no, I don't hear that at all. I didn't hear it sounding too close to any other track on the album. What I heard when I first heard it was when I first got the album, which was on CD. Never could afford to get Physical Graffiti on LP. Had to wait till I was an old man for that. But um, yeah, when I first heard it, I remember going, it's good, but I'm kind of glad it's not on Houses of the Holy. Now, Houses of the Holy was the first Led Zeppelin album that I actually went out and bought. I was familiar with one, two, three, and Untitled. All right. I was a teenage boy. I was at parties, right? I was a musician. I was in bands during this time. Of course, I heard all of those, but I was still primarily a Beatle fan. It took me a while to kind of get into a heavier sound. And when I did, the first one I bought when it came out was Houses of the Holy. And then I immediately went out and got all the others that were there and then bought them from that point forward. So I was a little late getting to Led Zeppelin, but that didn't stop me from becoming a lifelong friend or fan from that point. 70 years minus 18. I was 18 when that album came out, right? So what is that? 52 years? Having a wonderful relationship with a band that many criticize for background shenanigans and things like that. I always say, listen to the music, judge the music, and whatever tomfoolery human beings are committing is up to their own lives. I don't want to peek into your bedroom. I don't want you peeking into my bedroom. I don't want to look into what you believe in too much. And for the sake of the channel, you don't need to know what I believe in. All we need to know about each other is we love classic rock. All right, a little philosophy goes, oh, is this album okay? I mean, after all, what was it? There was an album out by a band that came out right around the time Black Sabbath was going. What was it? Black Widow. And they were an actual occult band. All right. Now, I'm not into the occult. I think it sucks. I don't think it's something that's good for anybody under any circumstances. At the very least, it gets wishful thinking happening and everything. And so I wouldn't be in for that. Right. And so we can argue about things like that on a philosophical bent. Some of you might be going, well, I am into the occult, and Blackwood is my favorite band of all time. That's fine. We can have a discussion about that and everything as it relates to the music, though, right? Not to the outside world that made me long for a desert island to take 12 discs to, by the way. Let's see. Oh, Holistic Healing Waves is in again here. He says, I saw Paul McCartney live at the Fabulous Forum in Inglewood, California, back in November 1989. Wow, what a show that was. Yeah, I saw him on that tour. It may have been as late as 90 when he was still going. I saw him at Berkeley. He sounded great, but boy, first time I saw him, I was right up. I've bragged about this too many times, but I was right up by the stage, and I could have whispered to him if the place had been empty, right, and he would have heard me. And then at Berkeley, he was like this big, and I was watching him on screens that were no bigger than this, if you think about it, in front of me. Now, they shot up 50 feet, but I was so far back, and that kind of put a bitter taste in my mouth. And the tickets were twice as expensive. No, four times, five times, six times more expensive than it was when I saw him at the Cow Palace. And then I paid to see him a third time and I got ill, so I gave the tickets to my son. He said it was the best concert, and I actually paid extra to get a closer seat, and that was the last time I ever overpaid for a show. Okay, but I'm a big McCartney fan, a huge McCartney fan, and he
Are you kidding?
even
You're
with the
his
increase,
number one fan, hon.
huh?
Are you kidding? You're his number one fan.
Yeah, well, that's what you always say, but I don't know that Paul would agree with that. I
You've
do
got so
criticize him from
many.
time to time, after all, you know. But if there's one number one guy that has given me the most pleasure since I was, listening to rock and roll listening pleasure,
Yeah.
it's got to be Paul. I liked his family values. I like that he's not on the edge, always saying whatever's off of out of his mouth in a microsecond, because that sounds a lot like John Lennon, and that sounds a lot like Michael Nolan too. I just say it before I even think about it, and I always respect people who have something I don't have to offer, and so I gravitated toward him. I liked his take on family. Um, I like the way that he brought his kids along and lived that life with them. All right. I'm sure that along with that came some grammatical portions that we'll all be reading about one day after Paul passes off this mortal coil. And family and friends get together and say, "What was it like being raised on the road?" Or maybe we won't. I don't know. But I like the way him and Linda did it. I like the way he was a family centric man. I always have been myself. I like the way he stood up and took on, I mean, he was the most eligible bachelor on planet Earth. And he found a woman. And you know what? Uh, his sexual history and Linda's, for that matter, were quite varied and everything. And it appears that they never slept apart, except for when he was put in jail/prison in Japan, a night of their marriage up to that point, right? I like that. I like that. I like people who make a lifetime commitment. I like people who mean what they say 10 years, 15, 20 years down the line. That's always going to be favorable. So he's always been a bit of a hero of mine. Having said that, he's got the ego of just about any other egomaniac on the planet. I just saw him doing Help. Okay. Everybody's talking about how great this is. I've watched 2 or 3 videos on this. He doesn't sound good. And the band doesn't sound good. It sounds mushy. You don't hear that that George would do and everything. Now they'll probably get tighter and everything as the tour goes. Maybe this was a last minute addition to all of it, and they're making a big deal about it and everything. But to tell you the truth, yeah, his voice can't handle it. He it just not on the ones I've seen. What do you guys think? Has anybody seen him live doing this yet? Is anybody out there that has actually seen him do this cut live? Maybe it's the phones I'm getting a bad mix on, but I'm going, God, there's no reason to do this song, you know, except for it's great, honor to John Lennon and all that. But he's done this before, and I don't know. Fast Eagles in. Hi, Caitlin. This old heart of mine is what she says. 1978 County Fair, while all the other kids, this is Fast Eagle, were lined up to ride the Rock of Plains. All I wanted was to win the Rush or Rainbow Mirror. Yeah. Bronze Snake. My first live concert was back in 1979, 1980 Supertramp. 2 nights. Yeah, they're getting a lot of uh, people not remembering them fondly. I love Supertramp. I thought they were great. Take the long way home. Oh, anyway. Uh, what an awesome live performance. Swing. Absolutely. I agree with that. They're fabulous band. Okay, who else do we have here? Kimberly Nolan. Hey, sister, I'll send the details we spoke about my near death
Yeah.
experience later tonight. Okay, good. You've got a hold of that, babe?
Yeah.
All right.
that's
Yeah, I'll take a look at that.
mistake. Yeah,
Yeah, I had more than a near-death experience, Monse.
yeah.
I died.
Gonna tell us about that.
Yeah, I died.
Yeah.
I think I've mentioned that once before. I ceased to breathe and everything. If it wasn't for my wife being there, I would have stayed dead. She got the help there in a timely fashion, and they had a whole mess of guys holding me down, evidently, because my body went into fight or flight, and I guess it went into fight, right?
Yes, you did.
Because I don't remember any
Oh,
of
we had
this.
to stop at a fire station and grab a couple guys to hold you down in the ambulance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I don't recall any of this at
No,
all.
and
You
it
know?
was fight or flight because your blood pressure dropped out. You were dying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, not dying. They said they
Dead.
had to resuscitate
Yes,
me.
they did.
Everything.
Yes, and that's when you came back and were fighting like crazy.
Yep. And by
Yeah.
the time I woke up, I'd already been in two separate hospitals.
Yeah.
Don't remember anything until I opened my eyes in the room, and I had no idea where I was, how I got there,
And
or
that
what
was
had
due
happened to me.
to
I wasn't even sure I was Michael
too
Nolan.
much of those powders, those powders used to take for your headaches.
Oh, those BC powders.
BC powder.
Yeah, yeah,
Aspirin, basically.
yeah.
Or
Powdered aspirin. I know,
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, that because what happened was I had an ulcer, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that may have
The
had something to
bleeding.
do with it, as I recall.
You had so much internal bleeding, the doctor couldn't believe what he was seeing, that you were even alive at all.
Yeah, I was leaking like a sieve, huh?
You had to have tons of blood
Yeah,
infused.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And that was in 2010. So I mean, I
Yeah.
was 50 years old, and there's, they say, guys, the danger. Uh, um, decade for guys is 50 to 60. You get past there, things look up a little bit better, but a lot of guys pass away. I knew that to be true out at the hospital. Several guys I knew died in their 50s. Nurses, didn't even make it to retirement. Of course, being a psych nurse out at the state hospital that I worked at would have driven you insane to begin with, but both the job requirements and the people that work there, to tell you the truth. Loved my clients, loved my patients, didn't care for half the people who were nurses. Most people who get into nursing shouldn't. And that's just a fact of life. I know what I'm talking about. You got to have empathy. You got to be able to get down and dirty, and you got to do just about anything that your patient needs. And a lot of people go, ooh, icky poo. It's not a clean job, right? But the payoff was good. You care for another human being who has it a hell of a lot tougher than you, and they pay you to do that. You better treat them with freaking respect. And they're the number one reason you're out there, not the nursing personnel out there that's playing political games, right? Too much information. All right, folks. Well, at least I got to a whole lot of you tonight. We did about pretty much an hour and a half. That's good for a Wednesday. I had fun doing this. I want to thank each and every one of you that are supporting the channel financially. But please, for those of you who didn't and go, I wish you'd just stop talking about that. It's a necessity these days, folks. But I still do these primarily for you, the viewer, whether you give a damn dime or a thumbs up or anything. And we're at 50 thumbs up. We just got a bump up, baby.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah,
good.
that's great.
Yeah. I don't know how big we had a group. I know we were in the 60s there for a while, and then I lost track. So if it grew, I'll get a report on it. It felt like we had a great, just by the response here, I can tell you I'm going to get a lot. I get a count on how many um, responses or comments I get. It's just, I'm not too concerned with that, but it does indicate if we've had a lively chat.
Came in with a super thing.
Oh, John, see, he does it. See, this is his time.
John, you're so sweet.
He just waits in the bushes and goes.
He does
Pew!
that at the end.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Aww.
John C., we always appreciate you. You know that, brother.
Wow.
I hope I didn't miss Beach Boys, Pet Sounds. Oh, yeah, okay, if you got to have one. That's the one, right? That's the one that often winds up in the top three of a lot of people's greatest albums in rock, or at least did a long time ago. I haven't been keeping up with those lists, but yeah. And you know what? That's a good one. Um, I like some of the other Beach Boys stuff, but at the same time, year in, year out, I might actually get to really love that album. I like it a lot. And my number one guy thinks it's a great album. Paul McCartney loved that album. You can thank Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band because of Pet Sounds. So it's something I either haven't put into or I haven't allowed enough time, repetition of plays and everything. But it's a great album, John. It is a great album. It's just like, I'm not sure, you know? It's not quite, to me, I hate to say, it can be a bit of a snoozer. But then again, there's a couple albums here. Someone might say, "How dare you, Michael? Avalon isn't exactly an ass-kicking rock album. You know, it's got a lot of laid-back materials and multi-layers and stuff like that. So make room, buddy, and I will. I'm gonna. You know what? I need to do a reassessment of Pet Sounds. I really do because and I've never done a video on it, but I think we've mentioned it over at Royce, and at the time I went, you know, oh man, you guys made this stream tonight. I want to thank each and every one of you for showing up, and now your humble tribe master can collapse and uh, get some sleep. I think I'm in dire need of it. Don't forget Sunday, 5 o'clock, and then afterwards at 6:30. And this is all PST, right? Pacific Standard Time. So adjust your times accordingly. And Royce will be on. So I'll be on Sunday at 5 for about an hour 15 minutes. That's a shorter show. And then I'll be up on Royce's if we can get me up. They keep wanting to turn me sideways and I'd look like this the whole time. And so that's not conducive to a good screen presence. But if I can get on and not get turned sideways, I'll be up there. Either way, whether I'm there or not, you better show up because I'll be in the peanut gallery, right? And both Royce and Dan will be up there, unless Dan has an emergency. You know, emergencies happen at the very least. And these are tribal members. These are supporters of the channel, and these are the two brother channels to the bottom line. All right, folks, love you dearly. Hope all is going well for you, and try not to read any headlines
Good
for
night,
the rest of the night.
everybody. Thank you.
Kimberly says, "Good night, everybody. Thank you." In a lot more mellifluous tone than I could
We
ever
got
come
the
up with,
best
by the way.
tribe.
Yeah, we do. She
We
says, "We have the
do.
best tribe."
Everybody is so amazing. I learned so much.
Did you hear that? She
I
said, "Everybody's
learned
so amazing. I learned so much." She does. She, you
I
know,
do. Oh
she
my
does it right
goodness.
here. Joseph, my goodness.
Joseph just came in now.
I
with
saw
the
that.
big- Oh, thank you, Joseph.
Oh my
You're
goodness.
always so
Love
sweet.
you all.
Oh.
The power of two.
Oh, yes.
He swings yet another deuce hammer, doesn't he?
Yes, he did.
All right, folks, I'm going to get off. I hope you're all having a wonderful week. We're over the hump. Trying to get to the, let's hope that things settle down in the world and we could have a nice holiday season, don't you think? Especially us in America. Well, no, it's all over the world. You know, there's a lot of turmoil and stuff. Wouldn't it be nice if we could just have a wonderful holiday season celebrating whatever holidays you find important in your life and not wish harm on others or seeing the other side as the bad guy. It would be nice if we could get there. I think we deserve
no
it.
Violence.
No violence, of course.
Yes.
Right. No violence ever. Violence is the last resort of the incompetent. Okay, folks. Love y'all. And I'll see you guys on Sunday night. Night.